Women make up more than half of Nigeria's population, yet they face a lot of barriers, from systemic barriers, including politics, business, and in society. At the same time, women are the backbone of the Nigerian economy and much of the West African economy, and they lead in different places, from entrepreneurship to agriculture and even in informal trade. How then do we bridge the gap between potential and prosperity, potential and opportunity when it comes to women affairs? Today, I'm joined by the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Hajia Imaan Sulaiman-Ibrahim, to discuss the government's roadmap for gender equality, inclusion, economic developments, and policies that will drive real change. Welcome to Unfiltered, the big interview. My name is Ogra. Honorable Minister, good morning.
Good morning.
You took office at a time when women were becoming to get again to the forefront of Nigerian political, economic, and societal discourse. Some people say it's because of the policies that we've taken as a government, economic policies, and it has affected women disproportionately. What is actually your vision? And you were appointed a couple of months to the end of the year. So what is your vision for this ministry, and how do you plan on, driving real change and turning your policies into actionable stuff?
Okay, so the vision is to reposition the ministry to be a policy and implementation institution, a strong policy and implementation institution, get towards ensuring that we're achieving the areas of gender, gender equality, gender parity, women's economic empowerment, women's advancement, women's protection. Because sometimes the mandate of this ministry is being misunderstood. So it goes beyond women to also cover children, their development and protection, and also family cohesion. And that's where we'll come very strongly from in the ministry. We're designing programs and also making sure that we have the right guidelines and regulations to be able to reinforce that part of our mandate. And also, we're also going to strengthen our protection frameworks for the vulnerable, which is another category of people that we serve in this ministry. So yes, we're making progress when it comes to that, because we have a strategic roadmap of 2025-2027 that aligns with the renewed hope agenda for women.
So yeah. I hear you saying you are more conversant with, the breadth of the ministry's mandates.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you're saying you're not only covering women alone, you're also covering children and cohesion within the family. Because that's the only way societies and communities, can be built in the way that reflects the kind of values
that we have,
that we want to be reflected as Nigerians. Yeah. But I also know that more often at times when we talk about women affairs, the ministry in particular and your work, maybe not you, but ministers' work in the past, it's mostly restricted to things like, women empowerment at the small and medium scale level. And going by a lot of things that affect women, again, I repeat, the initial data I said, women make up a lot of the informal sector.
Yes.
They make up more than half of about half of the population, depending on what data that we're looking at. Meaning that anything that affects women affects the entire country.
Yeah.
Whether it's in politics, whether it's in social development, economic development, and all that. Do you want to run us through any specific policies that you intend to pursue or that you're already pursuing, in the next year or 2 years as part of your plan? And why I'm asking this is, it's always good for Nigerians to have clarity as to whatever anyone is doing. That's where the people can support, the work that you're doing. So if you can run us through any of these programs, so people can understand better.
Okay, so I'm excited that already we have very good policies that are in place. We just have to roll out implementation plans and guidelines and regulations, and also, more importantly, the national action plans, because that helps to align efforts. We have the gender policy already in place that covers a lot of areas of concern for women development, women's economic empowerment, and even women's growth across sectors. Because like you rightly mentioned, we're major players across sectors. We've done so well. Particularly if you look at agriculture, 70% of smallholder farmers are women.
True.
And we account for about 80% of the outputs. So you see, we're already strong in that regards. And this is despite the challenges that they face, in that space. But they still kind of are able to perform to that level. So with little encouragement and the right policies in place to support them in the areas of access to market, access to finance, they can do better. So yes, we have the gender policy, and also we have the National Economic Policy for Women, the WE policy. And that comes with an implementation plan. We have not done well when it comes to expedite and accelerated implementation, and that's where our effort is going towards, working with the right partners and all that. Another area that we'll look at is digital and financial inclusion for women. They go hand in hand. We need women to have access to finance, access to market, access to even support, so that they can be able to produce more. 50%, more than 50% of the population are women. There's no way we can address economic gaps without addressing issues of concerns for women. And it's important that it's tailored fit, and it's also, nationwide, driven, so that women, we're kind of not leaving anybody behind. In the past, we've done a lot of piloting programs. That is due to scarce resources, and that's why we're going to back up our plans with action in the areas of mobilizing domestic resources, and we're making good progress. We would like to thank Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because already our budget is seeing an increase, which is unprecedented. It shows that this is government's priority, and that will help us also attract, private space resources, knowing that because the private sector will support what government efforts are. So the president has demonstrated that gender issues, women affairs, children affairs, family issues are a priority, because we've put a lot of more money in there. It's not enough, but it's a very comfortable place to start with, through upskilling efforts that we have already, put in place. Yeah.
So let's talk about gender-based violence.
Yeah.
We know we have the policy against violence against
the VAP Act.
Yes,
Yes.
the VAP Act.
Yes.
And a lot of other policies like that. But at the same time, we've continuously had increase in, maybe it's because the media is also more comfortable reporting certain things, but we've seen an increase in uptick of violence against, women and other protected demographics. How is your ministry helping, to either boost advocacy to the people and enlightenment programs, or even ensure that the courts, fast track, its cases before it in terms of violence against women?
What I love about you, Ortega, is your knowledge across sectors. I'm glad that you understand these issues around dealing with or addressing issues of GBV or SGBV. The VAP Act is a very strong instrument. So the direction that the ministry would like to take is to ensure that we emerge with a national protection framework, agency or commission. Because I was a former DG NAPTIP. The VAP Act at the national level is domiciled with NAPTIP right now. So, and already NAPTIP is overwhelmed with the TP Act. I think we need an institution, because as the lead protection ministry, this is a human face of government. And we must advise government and also redirect the energy in the right manner. So I feel that the review of the VAP Act should be able to give birth to a national protection framework that will be backed by a national action plan, because it's a sensitive issue. We have a lot of players, and it's a multi-sectorial issue that involves law enforcement, and also it involves our legal, space. So it's very important that we kind of come up with an institution that supports these two sectors, to support in ensuring that we serve justice. From the advocacy angle where we're leading, and we're going to work with the CSO to continue to map out a proper plan whereby we kind of speak with one voice. That's very important. We haven't done well when it comes to deterrent, because, like you said, we keep having cases, very, very alarming cases. But I know that when the plans that we have in, ongoing is being in place, we'll be able to kind of deter it to a very large extent. And the review should also come with a very strong punitive measure. That's what I'm advocating for. People might think that I'm too harsh, but I'm saying that when you have the harsh measures, it should serve as a deterrent. So nobody should want to even, why would you want to rape somebody? Why would you want to rape a 4-month-old baby? And that's why the measure should be punitive. The punitive measure should be very, very strong. That way, you should not even do it. But when people are saying, oh, we're being too harsh, so that means you want people to be raped. So yes, the review should be able to give us a stronger legal instrument and also the right kind of regulations to be able to deter people, and we sensitize the boys and the girls, we sensitize the family units so that there's zero tolerance towards GBV. Because Mr. President remains committed to ensuring that every citizen is well protected in Nigeria.
That's heartwarming, and that's quite comforting, and I hope a lot of people watching will also be comforted by what you said.
Yeah.
But I also hear you saying another thing,
Yeah.
which is a lot of your work is multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral, multi-ministry and everything. So you're like a bird's eye view ministry, meaning that a lot of things that each and every ministry is doing, affects you one way or the other, directly or indirectly. Yeah. And the reason I'm asking this is quite important that we are governments.
Yeah.
We can't keep to butter things up and protect the people from information that they ought to know.
Yeah.
We also know that, if we don't ask ourselves these hard questions, other people will ask of us and they would push out the wrong narratives as to the work we're doing. Yeah. So for me, I think you can just run us through, the challenges you've had so far, whilst in this ministry. Because I also know we've had one-on-one conversations and I know you're doing a lot of work, but also for the benefit of people, I think you can just run them through how the ministry operates, how it collaborates with, other agencies or ministries or even other bodies outside, the government circles, and then any challenges that you're facing and how you're looking to, surmount them.
Okay. First of all, there's a huge leadership gap. There was a huge leadership gap, and also there's huge gap when it comes to capacity and retention of, because it's a technical area.
Sure.
And a specialized area, so you have to have the skill, and you have to continue to upskill to be able to serve in the areas of social protection. And also we have a huge gap when it comes to coordination as well. So, and for multi-sectorial space, you would find it very difficult to be able to achieve and make the required progress if the coordination is lacking, or if the required coordination is lacking. There are women in every sector, and we're responsible for them. And there's need for that gender mainstreaming. Or there's a need for us to look at things from the gender lens so that everybody is being covered. So if there's no awareness, or if there's no commitment towards the synergy, towards working with the concerted effort, then we cannot be able to make required progress. But I'm so glad that presently, as I speak to you, we're collaborating with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, the justice system, the law enforcement. We're collaborating, the private space as well. So that's where you hear that funds for women are domiciled somewhere, and then we're not aware, and then we're the only authority that can report when it comes to figures, statistics, or progress that the government has made. And whichever player that we have in the space is doing it to support government's agenda. And that's why we have to kind of work with concerted efforts, and the resources are not there. So we don't want to be able to, want to be able to harness every resources and say that, we're justifying scarce resources. Otherwise, we're duplicating efforts. So yes, the challenge is the coordination, but we've made progress. Because I bumped into the Minister of Health during FEC, and he told me that, we have to see Iman because there's progress when it comes to a few gender-sensitive and children-driven, programs that they have. So we've always collaborated. We have joint programs, even with, in a tripartite manner, with education. There's no way you can address issues of out of school without involving us, because we play a critical role in the advocacy and also in the family agenda to ensure that these kids do not only enroll but also get retained in school. So yes, the challenges are there, but we're aware of the challenges and we're working towards ensuring that we close those gaps. in a very fast manner so that we can, because government goes very fast, so we want
True.
we want in the next few years to be able to say yes, we've done this, to justify the mandate, so that it counts also as a plus
Talking
from Mr.
about
President.
government
Yes.
and politics.
Yes.
You're also a politician.
Yes, I am.
Why are the numbers of women,
Yeah.
running for elected office or representative office reducing, and we're also seeing reduced number of women elected into office, across all arms of governments, whether federal or state or even local governments? Do you have any policies in play? What are you trying to do to bridge this gap?
We have the gender bill that is about to be presented to the National Assembly for consideration, and we're advocating, and we have a lot of he for she's that are also ensuring that they lend their voice to the bill. But I feel that we must take a step back and look at what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and how we can amplify on the strategies that we feel would get us the required results. For me, it must come from the angle of mentoring. Let's just look at the recently conducted local government elections. Most of them were done based on consensus, and my governor agreed for us, the women in the state, to have high numbers of women. The party agreed, the APC in Nasarawa State, and they said, "Oh, we can have women vice chair to begin to mentor them." Because it's a new thing for the state, and we can also have about 3 councillors in each local government. But we struggle to emerge with one. Why? Because of participation. So we want to be able to increase and encourage participation, even at the party level. They should get used to seeing you should be able to serve the party and even the people, so that you can easily come as a recommended, or even a desired candidate. And I think we're making progress, even from our programs in the ministry. We don't only encourage you being empowered, we encourage you serving. That you should be seen as a natural leader. So I think the mentoring angle and making sure that women are economically empowered would naturally give rise to high numbers of leaders in elective positions, and we'll also back it up with the right kind of advocacy at every level. So that we're getting support from whole of society.
Very true. Very important. I'm sure we won't have any problem voting for women in Nigeria.
Yes.
Because you see, a lot of times when they're talking about whether good governance in Nigeria, quite a number of times you see that there are women's names being mentioned.
Yeah.
But
there's an agreement also that all political parties should have a greater number of women in administration. Because when there are more women in the party secretariat, it means more women will go there.
Yeah, but the question now is, who is following through?
So who will follow through from the ministry? Who will follow through to ensure that is in place? Because I think that's a good starting point for us. Because the more women we have in the secretariat, the more women go there. And even the women can transit from being admin staff in the secretariat to even being contestants or, aspirants. So I think that's another route that will be able to give us tangible results, and we're going to explore.
So, Honorable Minister,
yes.
When I was introducing this interview, I said you were recently appointed, and you're just clocking 100 days in office.
Today.
Yes. Oh, congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
I know it's been tough.
I know.
And I know, no matter one's best intentions in government, you just see things being thrown around. But for the benefit of everyone, can you run us through what you've done in the past 100 days? Your wins, your partnerships, your projects and initiatives, and what you intend to see going forward from here.
Okay. Thank you so much. 100 days is a lot of days. It feels like a year, but I'm so glad that it's just 100 days. It means that we have a little bit more time to be able to achieve as much as we can. So in the last few months, what we have done is to be able to do a total scan of the environment, of the social sector, to see what is in place. We assembled a team of experts in this space. We put together a roadmap that aligns with the vision of this administration, the vision of Mr. President, the renewed agenda, our renewed agenda. so that the two are merged. And we're able to kind of highlight a few areas that we're going to put a lot of, energy in. The first area is the areas of strengthening the institution. It's the least social protection ministry for government. It's the human face of government, like I mentioned. So it must be able to protect, to offer the protection for citizens. So we're going to also review the legal instruments to make sure that most of them are outdated. Some 22 years old and some 18. So we're going to ensure that they're strengthened so that they offer the right kind of protection for our citizens. Because as we all agree that the primary, function of government is the welfare and well-being and security of its citizens. And Mr. President remains committed to that. So the legal instruments will go a long way in ensuring that we're able to kind of offer that particular, comfort for the citizens. And we're also looking at national action plans. It's very important that we align our energies because we're working in silos in this space. There's so much resources being deployed, even by development partners. So it's very important that we all come together so that we're reporting progress. This year is the 30 years of the Beijing Declaration. And also this year is the 30 years anniversary of the ministry.
Oh, wow.
So we went to Beijing, came back, and then we kind of put in place this legal institution, these frameworks to be able to support the 12 declaration of the Beijing and also the 15 protocols of the Maputo framework. Yeah. So 30 years is a lot. But if you look at our reporting, it doesn't really quantify what we have done. Why? Because we've worked in silos. So the ministry should take the lead and we should be able to accommodate every player to support. And we should be able to record our progress in a very, very, streamlined manner so that we're kind of upscaling and doing more with the little resources that we have. So yes, the policy reforms. And also we're going to look at addressing infrastructural gaps. When you offer protection, you need to have certain things in place. Shelters, safe homes, crutches, psychosocial support centers. So many of those kind of infrastructure are not in place. So we're committed to working with the subnationals to see that we address those gaps. Some states have done very well, but some are still behind and they need a bit of support, so that they can be able to offer that kind of service to our population. There's no reason why if a woman is being beaten by her husband or a man is being beaten by his wife and then you don't have anywhere to go, then you have to go to family. What if you don't want anybody to know? So we want to be able to offer those kind of protection. And sometimes you find children that both parents lose their lives maybe in the motor accident and then the kids are stranded. We don't know where to take them. So we also strengthen fostering and adoption laws so that there's no room for abuse, so that our children are being protected, and also ensure that there are, infrastructural, structures to be able to support those kind of needs that we may have. And also we're going to look at sectorial growth for women. We've already started. We've committed to, training about 1 million women around clean energy transition so that they're participating. So we don't only want women to be offered the service, we want to be active players. Even in the children's space, children will play actively in ensuring that they prefer solutions. I think that is the global message, that anything done for us without us is against us. So we hear the children loud and clear. We hear all the, the affected, people, and that we're going to ensure that we kind of partner so that everybody's on the table and then we're providing solutions collectively. We also look at women in the agro, the extractive economy, across sectors. We'll look at women's contribution and to see how we can be able to encourage. In the past, the ministry has only supported indigent women. It's a ministry for every woman. It's a ministry for every gender. So we'll see how we can, for example, if we were to enact paternity leave laws or any policy, it's going to originate from this ministry. So we're a ministry for everybody. So we'll see that we kind of ensure that every woman has a sense of belonging. We're providing the right kind of support to women across sectors to be able to thrive, and also protecting them to be able to grow and aspire as much as they would like to. And then finally, we look at the issues of synergy, which we have done a lot so far. We've been engaging most stakeholders and welcoming them to register, especially the CSOs, in the past, and I've done a few international engagements as well, representing Nigeria on the global stage from the EVAC, which is the very first ministerial level ending violence against children's conference in Bogota, where Nigeria made very lofty and big pledges, and we're following through in collaboration with the right stakeholders and partners to see that we achieve those goals. Because when we achieve them, trust me, it will be life-changing for many children and even for Africa as a continent. We also were at the climate change conference, the COP28 and COP29, and also the COP16 in Riyadh, where we also made very lofty goals around energy transition for women and ensuring that they're active players in those main dominated areas, spaces. One of the key focus around energy transition for women is the clean cooking and the safe cooking. Yeah. Women die because they're putting food on the table, because they're using the conventional way of cooking, the firewood. So countries like India have been able to transit very quickly. We would like Nigeria to make that kind of quick transition so that we're not losing lives because we're cooking for our families. And another sector we look at is agro. Already women are major players. How do you give them more access to market? The AFTAC protocol has about 2 protocols that protects women and encourages women to be critical players in agriculture, in trade, in those activities. So we're going to work with the Ministry of Trade and Investment and Industries to see how we can also have gender-friendly industries, like more industries that are manufacturing sanitary towels, diapers. Men don't change diapers, so they don't know how important it is for us to manufacture, because all this would drive down cost. I'll be able to kind of, attend to our needs domestically without importing and stuff like that. So we're looking at a lot of, fundamental shifts when it comes to the way the ministry is being viewed, when it comes to the support that we give women, and we're inviting, whole of society to support us. We're inviting everyone.
I'm sure they're all listening, and I'm sure they would definitely want to support. I've been in all since you started speaking.
Yes.
This is the first time I'm having an interview, and I'm all attentive all through. Maybe it's because of my background as a public health professional, and that's why I'm just quite excited.
So now that you're talking about public health, let me just chip in the last bit.
Please go ahead.
Yes, just yesterday we signed an intent to collaborate with the FACI Group. The FACI Group is a renowned, AI-driven medical platform in the UAE and in the Middle East. They're going to partner to ensure that they support us with advocacy. We're going to be partnering with the Ministry of Health, but my main focus is to ensure that we have at least 6 women and children specialist reference hospitals in Nigeria. Every country has that. That's global practice, because we have our own peculiar health challenges. So we should have hospitals and institutes that are researching, not just attending to our medical needs, but researching on our medical challenges. So that's a priority. We're going to work with Ministry of Health to see that we kind of set those kind of structures, so that at least our health is also being secured. And I'm so glad that Mr. President has appointed an SSAP to Mr. President on women's health. We're working with both ministries to achieve our health goals for women, children, and the vulnerable.
So finally, Honorable Minister, what does success mean to you? And one word for Nigerians out there.
For me, success means every woman being in the driver's seat and every woman being the lead actress in her life. And that's what Mr. President wants. We don't want women feeling that, they're not part of the movement, they're not part of nation building. Every woman has something to offer, either at the family level or as an individual or collectively as a team. So what we want is to breed a generation of committed and patriotic women that understand their worth and know that they have something to offer, either from inside their home or when they come out into society. So we just want confident women that know the critical role that they play in nation building.
Thank you very much for watching. You heard directly from Hajia, Imaan, and we do hope that you'll ask more questions from the ministry. Their public pages are there. You can always send them a message on any of those platforms. If they're not listening to you, then you can push it to us at the State House, and we'll definitely get you the feedback you need from the ministry.